Hello and welcome. You tuned to The Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast, and it's Oaks Day at Trentham. So back at the Champagne Turf, which is always good to see. Might get a decent track too, Steve?
There shouldn't be any dramas with the track. We've had decent weather leading into it. Obviously the odd irrigation throughout the week, no doubt, but little rain to speak of.
Okay, fingers crossed there. We get the track and everyone gets their chance, because it is fantastic when that happens at Trentham, Steve. Last week, let's talk about a Sunday Auckland Cup.
Yep,
interesting
on the
day.
back of the sails. Yep.
Coventina Bay and
Ellerslie wrap up what they'll be going in for a decent spell, 18 months to get the track sorted and resurfaced. But Lickety Split won the juvenile race, a little bit of an upset in that middle teen range. So. Keeps the momentum going with Turn Me Loose. At present, the last 2 to 3 weeks he's had. He also had, I think it was a black type winner on the Monday at Adelaide as well. So a sire on the up and up. And also Coventina Bay back-to-back weight for age 2,000 metre races on the back of winning at Te Rapa, the Herbie Dyke, won the Bone Crusher. So question mark around her. Will she step back and trip to 1,600, the Te Araha Breeders at Te Rapa, and take on maybe sharper mares and fillies? But at this stage, she's really flying at the moment, Coventina Bay. And the Auckland Cup goes to the CD. You Are a Star. One of the better back runners throughout the season.
Yes,
where
absolutely.
that horse has been placed, predominantly in open handicap races. But set weights and penalties in the Auckland Cup. Did a job on them, covering a little bit of ground. And then too strong at the finish, being by Jackalbury. No dramas with the pedigree, but punters well rewarded.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone that's supported You Are a Star throughout the preparation, and she's got a lot of fans.
She's got a lot of
have
fans,
been well rewarded, haven't they?
Yeah, for sure. Because she hasn't been at the point end of the market. A couple of times she started in that favouritism position, but the majority of her starts this time, and she's been in that middle market, and she found her position in the Auckland Cup around that low teens to high single figures, and she did a job.
Yeah,
well done.
She sure did. Time to say good morning to Brendan Popper. Well, BP, how good was Coventina Bay? She put it beyond doubt, and look at that Penny Panthers shirt. Thank you very much. Good morning, mate.
Good morning, lads. Yes, a great day, and look, she just proved how exceptional she is, isn't she? Now back-to-back Group 1s, winning our richest weight for age race to start prior, and the Herbie Dyke, and things went her way with a good ride, and it all paved her way once again, didn't it? With what Craig Grills was able to do and take out the Bone Crusher New Zealand Stakes. Look, I thought in behind there was some terrific runs once again. I mean, look, the chosen one with how the race unfolded, certainly from back in the field, was a top effort. But overall, a great day of racing for the Sunday race meeting, and now we hope and look forward to getting back to Ellerslie in the next sort of 18 to 20 months.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Is it Strathair? We're putting a Strathair track in, like Moonee Valley, is that right?
I believe so. Is that correct, BP? A similar service to the Valley? Yeah.
Okay.
What they have over in Hong Kong as well, so...
Hopefully we can get there, as they go through each sort of stages. I know that Trackside have sort of spoken about that they might get there along sort of after a few months and keep progress and keep tabs on how things are progressing.
Yeah, okay. Well, it'll be great to have it back, but there's exciting progress at Ellerslie, no doubt. Good morning to Paul Mawadi. Morning, Paul. Are you going to be sneaking out to Trentham tomorrow afternoon? That'd be sort of your MO, I would have thought.
Yes, I will be there. There's a big group of us heading down there for Nick Roberts' stag do. So obviously it'll be a very, very easy day to get through. I'm thinking, and it's good to see BP. We're in a footy jersey of a team that's a chance of winning this weekend, as opposed to some of the other jerseys he's had.
Do you think I should have worn a Titans jersey, Paul?
Oh, another good team with a big chance of getting the W this weekend.
Yeah, you've even pushed the price out on that top 8 promotion now. We get $5 if we were patient, Paul.
Yeah, I suggest you may get a wee bit more after this weekend as well.
Okay, maybe hold fire there. BP, we'll come back to you. We want to start with your Maiden of the Week. Where are you taking us this week?
This was a good battle, I thought, for Maiden of the Week, and got a little bit of discussion around it on Twitter too. Look, we've gone with the horse that I actually went as my best bet of the day, and I haven't just picked because of that, because I think it's a horse that's got a lot of potential, and the horse that runs second in this race is Astron. They have run, was it 9 lengths above par in this race, Steve? It was what I think I saw coming through with Craig Baker's sectionals on this race meeting. And look, I think there's just enough to take around the horses that have been placed second, third and fourth in this race. So, yep, close win. Astron trialled super. That horse is not too far away from breaking Maiden. So I think there's a lot to take away from that race as the Maiden of the Week. Horde the Bourbon race ran a very close second, though. because he was a runner that was destined to win a maiden race off the back of his spring performances and how he trialled up. So he is a notable mention in the maiden of the week.
Yeah, they're both bound to go on. I would have thought. Bit of money for Astron as well. Ran well. The first starter.
Yeah, tried up well leading in Astron. The unfortunate picture around Astron that it did bleed. So we won't be seeing that individual anytime soon. Hopefully it can keep, because it definitely showed ability. It was the one horse making its debut against race form or race experience, which Eyes Only on You had. But race rated on my figures 3.9 lengths above maiden standard. So I think you can follow the top four, as BP mentioned. Just a real shame around Astron. But he'll definitely keep and be one to watch when he returns to the racing. But Eyes Only on Me. BP, are they thinking Queensland around this horse?
Yep, that's the move, because obviously with our winter upcoming, both Nigel and his wife Lee, they head to Brisbane over the winter period. They did that last year, of course, and they'll be looking to do something similar, and why not take a horse with them as well while they head to Brisbane. So I think she's a horse worth following.
Not stupid, that Nigel Tiley. Not a bad idea.
Oh, you'll see a wave. I reckon you'll see a decent contingent of New Zealand horses head to Brisbane this campaign, or this basically autumn winter period. So watch out for that second wave of particularly 3-year-olds that just a bit late mature, didn't quite hit the tracks to get prepped ready for an Oaks or a Derby or a Guineas sort of races. So you'll see second wave of horses, and just keep an eye on them. They might be very lightly raced, but like Eyes Only on Me, and have 1 or 2 starts and head over to Brisbane.
Yeah, okay. Always a good plan. Righto, guys, we want to get into Oaks Day at Trentham. We're going to 4 races we're going to cover, and all very good races. We're going to start race number 5, Steve, and that is the Wentworth Grange Cuddle Stakes for the fillies and mares over the mile.
You're headed by Cinerama at $4.20. Hardly a move being made in this particular market. Quite compressed. A nice little even spread. Thad headed by Cinerama at 4.2. Mai Tai in that second elect with Sam I Am Susie, who steps up to Black Type Company, 4.8 each of 2. Zola Express, probably if there was a slight lead, it is around number 5, Zola Express at $5.50. Lecria $8. Lana Court at $9, far better placed here. Sila J on the quick back up at 14. Charm Star, interesting runner. Little money to speak of. Back from Chris Wallace / Australia, $15, and Magic and Canto best of the rest at 16. So again, no turns in or outwards, but number 5 Zola Express just down to early money invested. Best lead I can give. Yeah,
she's always well back, Zola Express. Look, some talented fillies and mares here. Mares anyway. BP. Top market Cinerama has been getting out of the gates, and I guess that's always a little bit of a concern around your favourite.
It is, isn't it? We always go back to the race that she ran, second in behind Melody Bell in the Thorndon Mile in 2021, and that was, an enormous effort to run second with the ground that she conceded in that race behind Melody Bell in the Thorndon Mile. And that's the race I always keep coming back to as well. She's a Group 1 place getter over 1,600 metres at this venue. Now, she's won 2 White Apple Thoroughbred Breeders, one at Tohuranika, the other recently out of Hawke's Bay. So she just sits in a good place under the conditions of this race. Look, Lana Cord and both Charm Star, they are Group 1 place getters last year, of course, at this meeting when they ran second and third in the New Zealand Oaks. I think Charm Star is an interesting horse in this race. Just one of those runners where she could get to a price $14, $15, could be backable on the each way, could be a nice top 3, top 4 horse to lob into your trifectas and first fours. I keep coming back to Cinerama, though. I just like what I've seen from her at the top end of racing and how she performed recently at Hawke's Bay. So not much over some of these horses, but when you look at the conditions of the race, where a horse like, for instance, Sam I Am Susie, who is progressively looking very good coming through the grade. She's won 2 of her last 3, but she's only half a kilo off a horse who's been Group 1 placed, and that being Cinerama. And look, only a kilo off a horse like Lana Court as well. So under the conditions, those horses at the top of the book have it in favour over her, but she comes in with up and running form. So that's always the balls in the air with these type of races, these set weights and penalties events. Yeah, they tend to favour those stronger or mares higher up the ratings, don't they, BP? And look, that win at Hawke's Bay 2 starts ago that you mentioned, probably had no right to win that day almost. Yeah, I mean, did a great job. It really picked up strongly too, and the horse in front of it, of course, was Magic and Canto, who looked to be the horse who was going to take the race out. Magic and Canto is one of those horses who can bob up from time to time too. But I think with that effort that we saw from her, and then, of course, currently after that, she then ran 7th in the the El Cheapo Cars Group 1 weight for 8 down at Otaki. So, and she was, 5.5 off them. Mascarpone was in that race, and some good other runners in front of her from Tiako. So she has those right form lines, doesn't she, coming into this race?
Yeah, no, there's no doubt she does. You're right there, Paul. Is that not Sween's not banging the doors there in your studio?
Yeah, I'm being evicted.
Again. Look, nice field of fillies and mares. You'll be noticing that early money for Zola Express, I would have thought, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, just like BP, it's very, very hard to take your eyes off Cinerama. As he said, a huge turn of foot to run second to Melody Bell at the track over the mile. I thought Charm Star, coming back from Australia, where she ran second to Duais in the Queensland Oaks, who last week came out and won the Australian Cup. She also ran second to Marilenia here in the New Zealand Oaks last season. So I'll give Charm Star a wee bit of a chance at certainly for a top 3 or top 4, I think, but it's very, very hard to look away from the Alan Sharrock-trained Cinerama.
Have you and Pops had a meeting before this show? Both found Charm Star. Steve, look, Cinerama, we talked about set weights and penalties and how it favours the higher rated horses, generally speaking, but it is a competitive market, this.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think she's going to start too much shorter than 420, where she currently sits, Cinerama. She has that low percentage play, which we always speak about on the show here, that she can get back, be a little bit tardy out of the machine. She's been a lot better in recent times. Her overall Trentham record on paper is not great, but I think that's a little bit misleading, as BP mentioned. She did finish placing in behind Melody Bell in the, I think it was the Thorndon Mile last year.
Yes, BP mentioned that.
And a couple other races where she's been a little bit stiff at Trentham as well, so no knock there. A couple of horses I am intrigued in. Sam I Am Susie. She ran a good number last start when winning over 16 at Ellerslie in the rating 74, 1 length above par that day. So even though she's stepping up in grade against some nice black type performers, she sits comfortably in that second line at 4.8. And she did beat an impressive sub-winner in Fun Tonic, which was very good last Sunday in the last race on Auckland Cup Day. So some nice form reference around Sam I Am Susie. Zola Express, I think it's a key jockey change here. Maddie Cameron, this horse needs a strong jockey that can get busy early on. She can just be found wanting in the business end of the race. She gets back in sticky positions. Now, she's drawn barrier 1. So it is a little bit sticky. I'm sure they would have wanted a marble, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere around that. But from barrier 1, Matty will just have to be aware that he tries to hold a position for this horse, not get too far back and caught along the rail. But if he can sit this horse midfield in that neutral position, I think that's what they'll be looking to play around Zola Express, because she does have a turn of foot. I think her sweet spot right now at present is 1600, so she fits the bill there. Another horse I want to touch on is Asala J.
Oh, no. Yes.
Now, I was big on it last week at Ellerslie and even the start prior to that when it smashed the clock at Mudda, but just want to forgive it last start at Ellerslie. Sat in the first 2 and running. They ran for the first 800, 48.22, with 6 lengths above par. So really the race shape was against any horse that was in the first 2 and running. It still had the audacity to be beaten, around about 2.4 lengths behind Fun Tonic, who Fun Tonic had the race shape to suit. Back wide, finished over the top of them off a hot tempo. So there doesn't look to be that much pressure in this race. The only horse I can see taking it on in that leading position is Daisy, the Maidener. So I think if they can get their own way in front, even though it's stepping up in grade and the conditions of the race doesn't suit Asala J with a rating of 70, I think she could give it a little bit of cheek and a nice each-way quote.
Yeah, okay. Currently $14 for Isla J. Look, it is tricky, BP, isn't it, to sort of get away from those quality mares. And look, Steve mentioned Sam I Am Susie and Isla J, who are sort of coming up through the ranks, but hard to tip them when you've got a mare with, an accomplished mare like Cinerama, isn't it?
It is, and Steve makes a great point about Sam I Am Susie, is that she's a horse who's on the up, and it is deserved of shot of having a crack at black type with what she's done recently, and Le Crayere and Isla J and those type of horses. So that just adds for a great race, doesn't it? And I think this is a good race coming up on the weekend, the Cuddle Stakes, for all those reasons, with those runners at the top of the book, with the previous form lines. Lanacord, I even think Lanacord's a sneaky hope here. 1,600 metres is short of her best, but one of her better runs through the spring last season was when she ran 7th in the Windsor Park Classic, and she ran some really good sectionals to say that she was a chance and ready to go for the Livermore Classic over the 2,040 metres. So you've only got to line up what she's done last year, because post the Oaks, she then, of course, went across to Adelaide as well and did the business there. So she's a high-quality mare that gets in well here under set weights and penalties. I thought she was a decent chance of the top 3 and top 4. She's top 3, 280, top 4, 220. And I even think Charm Star is the other horse that, out of that Oaks form that could be worth a look. So, look, we're mentioning a number of horses, so it must be a good race to take part in terms of a betting contest.
Yeah, 100%. Just touch on Lana Cord. Steve, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, she's a quality placed, to be honest. It's been badly placed. Yeah. I can understand they went to Hawke's Bay on the back of what we saw as a 3-year-old in particular, in Adelaide, etc., and have a crack at that Triple Crown as being basically the grand final, Livermore Classic over 2,000. But she didn't quite measure up. As BP said, she finished round 6th or 7th as her best, ran home okay sectionals, but at the end of the day, she wasn't quite up to our genuine weight for age Group 1 horses. And they've continued to race her at Group 1 company at weight for age, at set weights and penalties. I think she would have been an ideal candidate to be placed working back from one of our Cups races, whether it was a New Zealand Cup, Wellington Cup, or even an Auckland Cup, on a low weight, because her rating is not high. It's still sitting at 81. She would have been well placed in open handicap in a staying event. But look, this is more her go, back to her own sex, set weights and penalties. But ideally, looking forward, I want this horse to be placed at a nice staying race down in the weights.
You know, fair enough. Absolutely right, BP. So you've got Cinerama on top just to surmise here, and you don't mind a little bit of Charm Star and maybe a little bit of Lana Cord, top 3, top 4. Am I right?
Yep, that's it. Yep, I'll go with those two as nice place chances in Cinerama top pick.
Yeah, okay. Not to try and take the words out of your mouth, of course. Sorry, BP. Paulie, which way are you going in this year's Cuddle Stakes?
Yeah, I'll stick with BP and his Panthers jersey. I've got Cinerama on top at 420 and very happy to take Charm Star. I got her marked down at 380 for a top 3. She's drifted slightly out to $4 now for a top 3.
Yeah, okay. $4 Charm Star top 3. We didn't mention Le Criers, Steve, just quickly. Thoughts on Le Criers, sorry, before we move on?
Look, she was well beaten by Imperatriz, who just smashed the clock. So there's no Imperatriz in this race. Look, she's a chance. She's okay at the set weights and penalties of a rating 83. She's got a sticky gate from barrier 10. Yeah. She doesn't have huge tactical speed, so she'll probably be in the last third in running. She'll need tempo to suit. Okay,
the boys are pretty keen on Cinerama, and look, if she picks the jump and is somewhere near them at the 300-metre mark, she'll be awfully hard to hold out in this year's Cuddle. Okay, gentlemen, first of the Group 1s, race number 6 on the card. The Wellington C Market Levin Classic Group 1. And a relatively dominant favourite here after what we saw last time, Steve.
You're headed by the filly Imperatriz, Michael McNabb, Jamie Richards combined. $2.50 opening quote on Wednesday, Thad, now traded into $2.40. Well played, as is the second elect on the bubbles. Always well played with decent syndicate involved. $4.20 hard in that second line. Shares the same quote with Seamus, freshened up on the prospect of going towards a derby, but the stable elect to drop back to 16. I Wish I Win, 9 out to double figures 10. Mohawk Brave, well played in the middle market, currently losing liability for the tab at 14. Zaitaku, 16 out a couple of turns to 18. Miss Ella, flat $21, hasn't budged since the opening call. And a couple they have specced at longer odds, number 12, Blissful Bell, 26 into 21, and Cacophonics, 31 to 26.
No surprise I've had a little nibble at Cacophonics.
It was impressive on the eye. I'll get to more details in terms of what figure it produced.
I'm just thinking asterisk. I'm thinking asterisk.
Oh, I see. Okay. Same colours, all that jazz, yep.
Yeah, exactly. Cacophonics, yeah, the Bard. Okay, BP, the Group 1, the Levin Classic. We've got a clear top 3 here and a really exciting top 3.
I reckon. I mean, this is an exciting race, and I think it's plaudits to those that made the decision around moving this race to where it now sits for the very first time on New Zealand Oaks Day, because look at the field we have. I mean, this is field rich full of talent, horses that, the reason why this race is here is because so often we see 3-year-old races, they're all targeted to getting towards the Derby, and there are no 1,600 metre chances for horses that are 3-year-olds that, can't go beyond 1,600. So this was a great decision to move it to here. And now, boy, we have some sort of field, don't we? Imperatriz has been ultra impressive, hasn't she, with how she's won of late. And look, as Stephen said, this horse just keeps smashing the clock, running the arms off the clock with what this horse has been doing. So, an understandable move. But when you look at what Seamus did here at this venue in the Wellington Guineas, off the back of that, they decided, let's see if we can get to a derby. Let's see if we can hopefully bypass some of that breeding to say that he can run out a Derby trip. He's run third in a Waikato Guineas, and they knew then that, okay, let's not go down that path and let's have a look at this Group 1. So again, with the placement of this race suits a horse like Seamus. And then on the Bubbles, who got things back on track with a very good win and a dominant victory over a stable chance in the race, and I Wish I Win. But there are horses here that have got good form coming through the grades. I mean, Mohawk Brave, for instance, at $14, he looks to be a very progressive horse, doesn't he, with what he's done so far. He's had 4 starts to the races, 3 victories. Is he a sneaky for top 3 and top 4? So, look, overall, an exciting race. And, look, potentially, you could say it could be the race of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. With those top 3, I'd have no doubt it'd be up there contending. Paul, initial thoughts here in the Live-In Classic?
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of cream on the top here, isn't there? With Imperatriz, On the Bubbles, Seamus. But I've had a look a wee bit further down the page. Blissful Bell, who beat the older horses at Hastings. But I thought the run in the Wellington Guineas was a bit better than it looked. She was slow away, but she had the second fastest last 400 and 200 metre splits behind the winner, Seamus. And I did like the way she finished off the race through the line. So I'm certainly keen to take her to finish in a top 3 or a top 4 in this race. But it's very, very hard to not see those runners at the top of the market not filling at least 2 of the top 3 placings. So Blissful Bell for a top 4 for mine, but I do like the look of Imperatriz.
Okay, so I was going to say, if I had to nail your colours to the wall, it would be Imperatriz of those top 3?
Oh, I think so, yeah. Stepping up to the mile after that 1,400 metre victory. She just flew home in the 1,000 guineas. How good.
Yeah. No, she looks all that one last time was no fluke, obviously, Steve. Super impressive, but there is some depth there.
Yeah, just on Imperatriz, I think Moati makes a good point that she ran home strongly over 1,600 and the 1,000 guineas on and off track. There was the question mark leading into that race, would she get a mile? No doubt she got the mile. Look, she didn't win. The stablemate won on that day, but on and off track, still produced the fastest closing splits and run fourth. Held a lot of merit, considering I think she likes a dry track. So it was on a shifty track that day, at the back end of a very hard carnival. Held a lot of merit Imperatriz, and just on her last race in the Lisa Chittick Plate, that was clearly a PB for her. I loved the change of tactics as soon as Show Roses came out during the day of scratching. They rode her like the best horse. I don't think she'll lead here, but she's drawn a nice marble. She'll sit in the first 2 or 3 and again be presented pretty early in the straight Imperatriz. She's got the best turn of foot. And the horses like Seamus On the Bubbles, even though On the Bubbles has drawn a good gate, or probably map in the first half does, they'll have to come over the top of Imperatriz, and I just don't see that happening with her turn of foot.
Yeah, okay. Well, if she's just exposed early in that Trentham Straight, there is the potential that something strong could run her down, and that might be a Seamus.
Yeah, potentially. Look, I like the decision that they bypassed the Derby. He's very astute, Alan. He knew what he had in terms of a quality galloper. Just staying credentials wasn't quite there for Seamus. They've dropped him back to 1,600. Look, he won the Guineas, which used to be situated where the Live-In Classic was on the first day of the carnival in January. And it was a fast run Guineas set up by Sassy Merlot, and he finished over the top of them, closing the fastest 6.42 on that day. And look, he bet at that time an unbeaten galloper in Paranui Bay, and the overall race rated 1.5 lengths above par, but when normalised, still needs to find on that performance what Imperatriz produced at Matamata, still needs to find 3 lengths to turn the tables, and I just don't know if he has that in him.
Yeah, okay. Geez, it sounds like you're quite keen on this favourite here, Imperatriz. Look, some interesting money around Mohawk Brave. Obviously, they've got plenty in the race here, Zaitaka as well, and obviously the second favourite, and On the Bubbles, Tiaka I'm referring to, obviously. But some good money for Mohawk Brave at odds, $14.
Yeah, they're stepping up to the 16 on pedigree, just a slight query. I did like him going 1,400 last start at the Bay, just run off his feet in the Al Mansour off a wide gate, got back, ran home the second best closing splits in behind Imperatriz in the Al Mansour, and we've seen plenty of winners come out of that race, so it's a really strong race, including Sort of State, who's been a sub-winner as well. So, look, Craig Grills does have options from Barrier 3. around Mohawk Brave where he can sit. I don't think he needs to be in the second half of Mohawk Brave, but just off his PB, just still needs to find 4 or 5 lengths to beat the likes of On the Bubbles and Seamus, and when it comes to Imperatriz, probably has to improve 7 or 8 lengths.
Yeah, okay, jeepers. BP, Cacophonics, tell us about this horse, because we didn't miss Asterix in the Derby, but obviously he paid 40 to 1. But Cacophonics, obviously wearing the same colours, same training combination, but a slightly different form line again for the horse.
It is, look, and he's a horse that, they've always rated since he's arrived in the barn, really, and look, you've only got to look at what he's done in his 2 victories. Look, he's a horse that's deserved of a shot at a Group 1. Look, he's won 2 of his last 3, and he did the job impressively last time to the races. But this is a step up again, isn't it? I mean, this is another push up towards the elite level. But we've seen it with Asterix, who came from a maiden race to take out a New Zealand Derby. Look, he's drawn awkwardly. He's drawn out in barrier number 12. He's going to have to be ridden quietly and hope that he can try and come over the top of horses like Imperatriz, which is not going to be an easy feat, is it? So there's things against him in this race, but overall he's deserved of a shot of having a crack at a Group 1 race because of the form he does bring into the race. Yeah,
okay. I see he's a losing result currently. The other one I want you to touch on, BP, quickly is I Wish I Win. Do we jump off? Because 2 starts ago at Trentham, she was back to he was back to his best.
Yeah, I don't think we should get off. I mean, he's a horse that in the Mufasa Stakes, he was trying to close and peel back on the Bubbles, who's $4.20 rated the second favourite in this race, who found his way back into that winning groove. So I've actually liked what I've seen from him in his return. This sort of late summer autumn preparation. It's what we've been wanting to see from the horse through his spring preparation, where it never happened. So he just seems to be in a good space, does I Wish I Win. And that gives him and gives Jamie Richards a very strong chance of filling all the minor placings here, doesn't he? I mean, look, Zaitaku's a horse who's a horse that is having a shot at the stumps with a horse that ran placing on Derby Day from back in the field, cutting corners and running into second position. So Imperatriz, yes, of course, top seed, but horses like On the Bubbles, I Wish I Win, and Zaitaku, they do give, and Mohawk Brave, a very strong chance in behind.
Tiaka fans will be able to get stuck into these power plays, Pops. Imperatriz Win, On the Bubbles, top $4. Man, the list goes on. So it might be a race to have a look at those power plays. How are you approaching it from a betting perspective?
Look, Imperatriz to win. I do like Mohawk Brave. I think Mohawk Brave is just one of those horses away from those top guns who all can win with the right run, can't they? On the Bubbles and Seamus. I just thought Mohawk Brave, he just comes into this race with a chance of getting a very soft run in transit from his barrier draw. He does have that turn-up speed over 1,200 and 1,400 metres, and if he's safe for that run over 1,600 metres, he just might be that smoky for a top 4. So I'll just have a quick look where he's sitting in the top 4 market. He is at, just quickly do it here, 260. So, yeah, mate, that might get me.
Yeah, okay. And you can chuck him into your fixed Quinellas or exactas and the like, and we'll get that power play put in for you, Pops, because I see we've got Imperatriz Win, I Wish I Win, top 4 at $6. Yes. Yeah, let's get it an Imperatriz Win and Mohawk Brave, top 4. It's going to be obviously north of $6, so that might be one for you, Paul. Where did you settle? You didn't mind a little bit of a roughie here in the Living Classic.
Yeah, well, if you're going to put a power play in for BP, I'd like one in for me as well. Thanks.
Nothing for you, mate. Yeah.
I'll take Imperatriz to win and Blissful Bell top 4. So
okay, well, let's do it. Let's get it done.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. John Barry, wouldn't be the first time he tipped us up at Trentham, would it?
No. I think he takes great pleasure in doing it too.
You're funny there.
Well, he's won this race, hasn't he, with a filly recite a few years ago. So
dead right, exactly right. Yeah, look, you're obviously keen on Imperatriz, brother. What I'm hearing.
I was very close making him a bet of the day, just on exposed form. I'm not sure a few of these horses. Look, they can all improve, but whether they can improve 3 or 4 lengths and match Imperatriz to the figure she rated at Mudda, I've got a very big question mark on that. So $2.40, again, she maps well. Michael's got options from the gate, whether he wants to push forward and be in the first 2 or 3 in running, or maybe in the first half does, just depending on the early tempo. Look, we haven't spoken about On the Bubbles, and he's just an uncomplicated galloper. He's got tactical speed. Just not sure where his ceiling is current. He just keeps doing the business without having that flashing light on him. So, but I just feel on exposed form on the numbers, Imperatriz looks to stand out at 240. And I wouldn't be surprised if she traded even money on the day, Imperatriz. I know there's a nice even spread early doors and they're shopping a few horses in that middle market. But, I wish I win. I think back left-handed. He just laid in the concluding stages at Ellerslie first time right-handed, so left-handed might be a positive around that galloper.
Just another thing too, guys, about what might happen with the pressure in the race, because there's some interesting horses drawn out here, isn't there, Stephen? You've got Miss Ella, who comes back to 1,600 metres, who's a runner that went forward, of course, to win out of counties. Look, One Dream, One Soul went forward, of course, in the Lowland Stakes and is drawn in barrier number 1. Bella Luce's gone forward previously from an outside gate. So there's going to be a little bit of pressure inside and outside in that first couple of 100 metres.
Yeah, for sure. You've banged on the 3 horses that will look to go forward. I think there's no option for Miss Ella from a sticky gate as well as Bella Luce to chance their arm and go forward and put themselves in the race. I just feel maybe after the first 200 metres, they might just put on the brakes and go below even tempo, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, there will be early pressure from horses trying to find a position from a wide gate.
Yeah, okay, just from a betting money perspective, the fact we're not losing 20,000 on the bubbles on Friday morning makes me think that maybe this Imperatriz is the pick from the Te Akau quartet in this race.
Yeah, I think so, and that's no surprise on their last start performances, but again, like I mentioned, on the bubbles, he still hasn't quite found his ceiling, I believe. Yep. He just gets the business done. As I say, he doesn't have that flashing light where he might put a space on his rivals or he comes from back of the field and finishes over the top of them. He has that tactical speed. He's a real racehorse. You'd love to own him. He very rarely runs a bad race. He's won, 6 wins from 10 starts, so he's a winner. So he's got some nice ingredients for the Group 1.
Yeah, okay. No, it's going to be an intriguing race. The boys very keen, though, on Imperatriz to take out this year's Group 1 Levin Classic. 240 currently. Steve suggesting that price could shorten up before the off, and I'd have to tend to agree. Gentleman race number 7 on the card is the Lightning Handicap. The racer horse with Te Akau stable. Lightning Handicap over the 1,200 metres. Steve, oh, gee, I talk confusing market for me, this one.
Well, she's got all the form, can I get an amen? Comes out of the Group 1 Telegraph, which form has been franked. Not just in recent weeks, but in particular last Saturday at Flemington. Can I get an amen? $4.50 opening quote, and well played at $4.50, best back runner. In front of Rose and Power at $5. Cavallo Valace loves the straight at $7.50. She is that third line with Malt Time. OK Power on the quick back up $8. Iconic Star $8.50. So there's the horses that sit in the single figures. Double figures around Top Brass and Burgundy Bell, 10, 11 respectively. Stumpy at $14 and Lincoln Cruise best of the rest at $18. So nice little lead, even though it hasn't moved. Can I get an amen? Played at $4.50.
Yeah, it would be too often, BP, that we could use a new market form reference for the Lightning Handicap.
No, I'd say it's the first time, Thad. Look, it's quite incredible form, isn't it, that is surrounding this horse. Look, is it that obvious? I don't think it is. I do believe that there is enough here in this race to say that it's not just a case of running with that form. Look, that is the obvious form reference that you've got with this horse finishing into 4th position in the Telegraph. But there is there's no slugs in this race. There are some horses in here that I like, even Iconic Star. I keep coming back to Iconic Star with this horse running, 3rd in a King's Plate, 3rd in a Concord. Look, he's beaten around Group 1 horses, beaten by Sword of State, beaten by Babylon Berlin. Look, they are Group 1 sprinters. Babylon Berlin has proved that this season with, of course, the placing behind Entrevier and Levante in a railway. So that horse can't be discounted at $8.50. And even Rose and Power, first time down the chute here at Trentham is the one thing you have to take into consideration. But, man, hasn't she come on this preparation? She really has sprouted from that 74 grade from that day that she won at Hawke's Bay through the Spring Carnival to be a stakes winner in the Levin Stakes, and now finds herself in the Lightning. And she's a pure runner, is Rose and Power. Then you've got horses like Malt Time, who might be good down the 1,200 metres, the dog league here at Trentham too, a horse who can rattle home from back in the field. Stumpy's in form. Cavallo Valace loves Trentham. He's had 6 starts here for 4 wins. So that's the reason why we're not getting $2.50 for Can I Get an Amen. as opposed to the price currently at $4.50, because there is a number of other chances in the race.
Yeah, for sure, Paul. I mean, there's going to be two distinct camps here on Saturday afternoon. There's going to be the people that back Can I Get an Amen, and when it wins they can't believe they got $4.50, or the people that back around it and when it gets beat they were saying, oh, it was a fool's bet, Can I Get an Amen? Which camp are you in?
I wouldn't say it's a fool's bet, but there certainly are a number of chances in this race. I do like the look of Cavallo Veloce. That was a super run on day one, less than a length off the winner OK Powell. Gets a 2.5 kilo swing in the weights against OK Powell. So at $7.50 I thought Cavallo Veloce was definitely worth a go, and I thought Malt Time as well. That was a big run over the 1,200 metres from a wide barrier behind a horse you may know, Johnny.
How'd you get that reference in? That was cheeky.
Not that long ago. And recorded the quickest last 800 6.42 in. So a better draw here. I think we'll have Malt Time right in it.
Okay, Mackay team flying too. They're going well. Paul?
They are indeed, big time.
Yeah, okay. Cavallo Veloce 7.5. Gee, Steve, I've sort of referenced it. Tricky market to frame up. I would have thought there might have been a little bit of discrepancy amongst the boys here.
Yeah, in particular around the 7, there was a decent disparity between the team here and when we went its opening quote. We landed with $4.50. I just don't have a clue where the SP will land on the day around Can I Get an Amen. I'm in both corners, I can see.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the last start performance, you've got to take that into consideration when having a play. But, gee, it's an unusual horse to have, 17, 18 starts and finally just come out of nowhere, produce a PB which is improved by 8+ lengths. And it happened to be in an elite Group 1 company around Can I Get an Amen. So I've got no doubt that she'll regress significantly on the back of that performance. But even if she does, she can still win this race.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, look, 2 starts back, 74 grade. She wins the race, I think, at Rotorua. It rated 3.5 lengths below par, so that's a concern. 3 starts back, she got beaten by the likes of Rose and Power and Stumpy in the Live-In Stakes. So, yeah, again, it's just a very confusing horse, which means and results in a very confusing overall market. So, again, I just got no confidence where the SP lands around the current fave. Iconic Star, BP, my concern around this horse is a strong 1,200 down the chute, because I know big field, plenty of horses that have drawn wide gates. On the back of that, there's going to be early tempo. My one concern, because you look at Iconic Star, and the majority of her starts in Australia have been over 900, 1,000 metres, and I've just felt in the 1,200 metres we've seen exposed in New Zealand, she's just felt the pinch in the last furlong. So was that a concern, 1,200, rather than seeing her maybe 1,100 or 1,000 metre race, which we don't get too many of in NZ?
No, we don't. No, I guess what we've seen from this horse is that up against some of those pure good 1,200 metre horses that the horse has been beaten by. So, look, this is not a Group 1 race, but there are horses here that have competed in Group 1 fields, but we don't have the Group 1 horses of your Levante Entriviers and Rockin' horses and those those are in Babylon Berlin that have been competing in Telegraph's Railways BCD Group sprints. Those are the races you should have leverage off as your guide. So just thinking that it's just a pair back from those races, even though it hasn't been racing in them, but it's been racing against those horses, just might see this horse in a better spot. But yeah, I take your argument, Stephen, because look, they will be hiking, won't they? Will they get close to the world record again?
Depends where they put the barriers.
Ooh.
Look,
too soon.
No, sorry. BP, let's stay with you. Which way would you be attacking this from a betting perspective? It sounds like you might have a little bit each way on Iconic Star.
It certainly escalated very quickly there, Thad. Look, I will go with Iconic Star. I just felt, though, that this runner is in the each way slot for me at around that $8.59 mark, because Can I Get an Amen could get shorter, and the money could really come for this horse, which might mean you start seeing Rose and Power, Cavallo Veloce become a real backable bet at the sort of $6 to $8. So if he's in that same sort of bracket, happy to be on him at the each way. But gee, if Can I Get an Amen wins, well, I mean, you'd say, yeah, of course. Look what it did last time to the races.
Yeah, is it too obvious? Is it too obvious, Paul? This one?
Well, I just want to go back to BP, and Paul can come in here too. If you had to mark her at SP on the day, where do you sit her? Where do you sit her? Is 450 overs, or did you see her around about the mark where she's currently sitting? Do you have like a figure in mind?
Oh, I think she'll get played. I think there's no doubting that. I think there is a chance that this horse will be well backed and could get sort of around that $4 zone, even below it, because. Look, even the Aussies might start tuning in and start reading the form book around this horse and understand what happened last weekend with the new market. So, look, that's why you could see the horse's price start to crash also.
Yeah, okay. Paulie, your thoughts?
Look, I think, can I get a name in? I'm thinking along the lines of BP here. I think the rest of the field are going to drift and we're going to see a big go on can I get a name in. I think she'll probably close south of the $4 mark. I'm thinking 380. So I'm very happy to jump on Cavallo Veloce. Even at the 750, the current quote. But if she does drift, I'm on.
You'll be stepping in.
I really do like Cavallo Veloce.
Okay, I like it. I like it when you say that. Very, very definitive around.
They ran an incredible number. OK Power last Saturday. I know they're running flat, quick times down the chute at the moment. Probably playing one or two quicker with the pentometer readings down the chute via the course proper. But the only thing about OK Power on the quick backup. It's got no form on the quick backup. It's been a horse that's it's a 5-year-old. It's only had 14 starts, so it's either been a slow mature or it's had the odd issues around OK Pal.
Okay.
You're on the quick backup. I don't know if that was plan A with the Pittman stable. The only time it has backed up within 7 days after winning, it's finished last. So that is a slight concern. When you go back and look at all of its wins, it's been within 2 or 3 week space.
Okay, that's interesting. Right, have you seen the time, by the way?
11:10.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a hike. We've got a hike here.
Sorry,
we've got to get to the Oaks yet. No, it's all valuable stuff. But we've got to get to the main event, gentlemen. That's race number 8 on the card, the Albasti Equi-World Dubai New Zealand Oaks, Group 1 fillies for 2,400 metres, and a relatively dominant favourite here, Steve.
You're headed by Self Obsession, won 4 on the bounce, including 3 at Group 2 level. $2.30, well played. That's its opening price there, so it hasn't changed, but again, well played. Yep. As has the stablemate, the Perfect Pink at $6. Lavilli at $7.50, new ownership there. Bellatrix Black, $10. Glory Bound, just out of turn, 10 out to 11. Aspen Colorado, very solid at $12 mark. Achieve, also a bit like Glory Bound, just out of turn, a little bit friendless early doors. Mustang Valley, very well played, probably the best played outside the favourite, 21 into 15. And also a bit of speaking for number 12, Apache Annie, 26 into 21. But a couple of horses that have moved off a high lay price, but best lead, I probably would go around number 1 in Self Obsession.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. BP, look, 2 months ago, 8 weeks ago, we would have been saying the Perfect Pink was a shot side to win this race, but she just keeps producing Self Obsession. They had to have a bit of a rethink around the Perfect Pink and the plan they take with her, and now quite a dominant favourite, $2.30.
She is, and she comes out of the right race, doesn't she, in the Lowland Stakes. And looking over the last 12 years of Sunline Vases and Lowland Stakes, the winner of, and then the winner of the New Zealand Oaks, of the last 12 runnings of the New Zealand Oaks, the winner has 9 times out of 12 come out of the Lowland. Now, 5 of them won the Lowland and then went on to win the New Zealand Oaks. And then the other 4 have finished 9th, 4th, 2nd and 2nd in the Lowland to then go on and win the New Zealand Oaks. Now, there's also another little anomaly to that the horse that finished 4th in the Lowland Stakes going back into 2016 was Fanatic. Now, of course, that horse was a promoted winner over Sophia Rosa, who won the Lowland Stakes and, of course, won the New Zealand Oaks, and then, of course, was relegated back into 2nd position. The Sunline Vase, we have seen a recent winner, of course, of the Sunline Vase in last year in a Madalena to then go on and win the race. We've seen 3 winners out of the last 12 years. So Self Obsession clearly comes from the right race and in the right form lines with what she's done so far this preparation. Yeah,
you'd agree with that, Paul. Self Obsession, $2.30, but seems like a race you'd potentially have a little bit of a play at longer odds.
Yeah, it's just very, very hard to take your eyes off Self Obsession. Jamie Richards, Michael McNabb, as BP said, She comes in off that Lowland victory. She's just been racking the victories up, the Fillies Classic, the Royal Stakes. She doesn't seem to have too many weaknesses. From the 8 draw, I'm guessing McNabb will just get her across and sit her one out, sort of around midfieldish probably, and she just looks the better the race. And it's not a poor field either. The Perfect Pink, Levilli, who was super last time out. I thought that 5th was big. Bellatrix Black, of course, came through the middle at Ellerslie to pick up a very good victory there. And, of course, Mustang Valley. I see was taking some money on Mustang Valley. Murray Baker, one more chance.
Last chance for Murray to go out with the swan song here with Mustang Valley. She was very good last time, boxing on well for second. But Steve, Self-Obsession, $2.30. She obviously looks the one to beat here, but it's a nice betting race outside of her.
Yeah, it is. I'm just going to bring up a graphic here, Thaddeus, around the 3 key lead-up races here and the race shapes that have been developing in these staying events as we head towards the grand final over 400 metres. So you'll see here up graphically, the first one was the Fillies Classic at Te Rapa over 2,000 metres, won by Self-Obsession. So the first 1,400 metres was run at a 92.59, 17 lengths below par and flying home 4.8 lengths above par. You had Self-Obsession leading on that occasion, so she was in the right position. The overall race rated a little bit below par, 1.6 lengths below par there. But again, it did favour horses on speed at Te Rapa. Then you look at the Lowland over 2,100 metres. Up to the 1,500 metre mark, 12.7 lengths below par. So again, favouring horses that were on speed. As we saw, Self-Obsession won this race as well, and she took a trail in that position. The final 634.41, 2.7 lengths above par. So horses like Aspen Colorado, who was worse in midfield, rattling home the second fastest last 211.49. Also, Self-Obsession, you see there, the last 8, 6, 4, 2 closing splits, even though she was in the right position, was the quickest of the race. So I think that's also a tick for Self-Obsession. Then you look at the Sunline Vase, a different direction of horses. Again, to the 600 metre mark, 18.9 lengths below par. So again, they've walked and sprinted home, favouring horses on speed. The last 634 and change, 3.5 lengths above par, overall rating 2.5 lengths below par. So Bellatrix Black, who was probably within 2 or 3 lengths of the leader coming around the turn, recorded the second fastest last 211.49. Now she was the winner. Levilli, who was out the back off a wide gate, they elected to go back, not knowing the total race shape was going to unfold the way it did, but she rattled home the fastest last 8, 6, 4, 2 in the race by a decent margin, Levilli. So that basically that's showing a couple aspects. Horses that don't be afraid if they've positioned midfield, or even worse in midfield in key lead-up races, and they've been hitting the line strong but have been out of the place getters, don't go away from them if you like them. If they've shown the right closing sectional, stick with them. The thing around Self-Obsession, even though she's been in the position to suit off these race shapes, I don't know if she's been... I don't know if it's quite suited her. She could be a class above the rest of these fillies, and off a strong tempo, I think her biggest asset is her staying credentials. And she could put a decent margin on this field purely if the race was run at an even tempo. It's been quite compressed margins because quite often you see the sit and sprint affairs, compressed margins, hard for horses to really stretch out and put a margin on their rivals. She might have just been purely just class ability and also having that tactical speed, getting over the line on those race shapes. I feel off an even tempo, she may be better suited, Self-Obsession, purely because I think she's got a bit of a staying quality about her at $2.30. Well played, but...
Do we expect then, do you expect, as this is probably the grand final, that there might be a little bit more tempo in this race? Because what that graphic highlighted for me was that they've been going very slowly to that 600 metre mark, and to see if their filly can stay, and then they can push on to an Oaks potentially. Can that all turn around now, perhaps in the Oaks, where everyone's going for a grand final, we're going to see a little bit more speed to the 600 metre mark? Who knows, I guess.
Look,
but
it's not guaranteed,
but
I think at some stage throughout the running, if they go below even tempo for the first, say, 1,000 metres, you'll see some pace ignited by one or two horses, and it could be self-obsession and say, look, I'm the best stayer here, I've got a class edge, I'm going to run you into the ground. What we saw in the Derby is we saw a similar profile in terms of race shapes. Their lead-in races were run at moderate tempo, then a sprint home. The Derby, the first half of the race, was run above par. So come a grand final, the pressure's on, a lot of money at stake, jockeys riding in that aggressive fashion to try and put their horses into a position and be in that winning position on the turn. So we may see it in the Oaks. I know there's been Oaks in the past that they've run below tempo and it's been a sprint home, so it can happen as well. But look, there's a little bit of pressure. I know Self-Obsession will go forward. Flash Mary, Ballon Rouge will look to take a spot. Rue Claire will probably look to take a spot off a tricky gate, but there's no obvious horse that's going to go out willy-nilly here. But I think at some stage, whether it's mid-race or early doors, there will be some tempo.
Okay, BP, look, is it as obvious as Self-Obsession, or look, some encouraging figures around Lavilli, Aspen, Colorado and Bellatrix Black, so maybe it's not just as simple as that, or do we just add the $2.30 to our $2.40 with Imperatrice here?
No, look, I don't think it's as simple as that. Stephen's right, because where's that little bit of pressure going to come from? There is no obvious horse that's going to lead them up, but so often when we get to these grand finals that there is, and there's going to be that right pressure. And that's what this race really evolves around, isn't it? Is what type of tempo we're going to get, because we didn't get it in the Sunline Vase. Lavilli was terrific in that race from where she's been able to finish on and run those fastest 8, 6, 4 and 2. And I reckon it was against a horse like Glory Bound as well, because Glory Bound in that Sunline Vase got a pair or two further back, really, than what it needed to be, and with how that race was run, and still finished into 4th position, had to make a move at the 600 metre mark, going wide around horses, and still finished into 4th position. So if there is better tempo here, you've only got to go back 2 starts ago when she's pushed Self-Obsession in the Alice Classic, and I have no doubt with her getting 2,400 metres as well. So you have to still be with her despite what you saw in that race, and Bellatrix Black and Achieve and Mustang Valley beating her home, and Lavilli running better sectionals. I also like the Lowland reference here around 2 horses. Aspen Colorado, yes, because of how that horse has made ground from back in the field and run the right sectionals. Look, there's a horse here at 100 to 1 that could run a race, and it's runner number 16 in Another Bella, because that was also one of those horses from back in the field that still ran the right sectionals in a race that was dominated by those front 3. Look, Another Bella ran the 2nd fastest last 800, 4th fastest last 6, 2nd fastest last 400, and was certainly climbing all over them in the concluding stages. Could go around at $100, this horse is a maiden galloper, Another Bella. But boy, I'd be lobbying into a trifecta in first 4 if it was able to somehow replicate its run in the Lowland Stakes, because it could be some sort of chance.
Yeah, sheepers creepers. I'm going to watch that bet count as we speak live. Look, boys, we've got to wind this up, but I blame myself here. I haven't led us through in a timely fashion, Pop. So just run us through those bets for an Oaks perspective as far as you see it. You with Self-Obsession?
Look, I've got her as my top selection in the race, yes, but I'm going to probably explore some other bets. I think it's a great race to try and play a trifecta or a first 4 or on the top 4 markets. I don't want to drop Glory Bound. Look, I'm already on it anyway through futures bets anyway. So I think Aspen Colorado and Lavilli are horses that run great races here. And look, let's go for it. Another Bella, top 4. What's it paying for in the top 4? Another Bella sitting at $7.50.
I love it. Okay, Paul, where have you ended up on this year's Oaks?
I'm going to go with a power play here. Self-Obsession win and Lavilli top 4 at $5.50.
That sounds good. Yeah, you like that, Pops?
Yeah, that's a good one. Nice. Yeah, power plays could be the way to go here as well. Yeah, good work, Paulie.
Yeah, get into those power plays, have a look at them. They'll be on all those races at Trentham tomorrow. Righto, gents, best bet time, because, sorry, we've gone on, as we can do here on the League Up. I hope you didn't mind. We'll come back to you, BP. Start with you. Bet of the weekend, please. Sorry, let's reference this first. You are coming off a win.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that, Thad. We'll go to Tauranga, of course. They race on Sunday. I really like this horse in the first race, Last Resort. Now, this is a runner that was super when winning out of Pookie, and boy, did the money come for this horse when he won on this occasion. 2 starts ago, he from a wide gate, just went push, went forward in a really hardly run race at Rotorua and still ran second, and there's been horses out of that race. He beats home there. Cool Change in that race out of counties. Cool Change has been a winner of a Maiden ASAT race that has produced sub-winners. He's then, next time to the race, has gone to Karaka Million Night, beaten him behind Sword of State. Good trial on Monday, so looks forward and ready to go. An inside barrier draw. First race up against the rail in front is a very good spot to be around Tauranga.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Last resort price, Steve?
$5. La Bella Beale's favourite at $2.40.
Oh, hello, I love it. $5. Thank you, BP. Last resort is bet of the week. Paul, where did you land? You're off a duck. You're only as good as your last performance, of course, here on the leg up.
Yeah, thanks, Thad. I'm heading to race 1 at Trentham, hoping to build a bankroll right off the bat there. It's the Rat Tat. He's 22, 2-year-old plate. And number 4, Slipper Island, the son of No Nay Never out of the Tony Pike barn, had a ding-dong battle with Lickety Split and just went down to Lickety Split. Of course, Lickety Split has subsequently come out and picked up a Group 1 victory in the Sistema. So I love the form line. Any sort of run like that at Trentham, I think Slipper Island will be just a wee bit too good for that field. Do
we know what price that is, Steve? So, right, I love that form reference, Paul. Very good around Lickety Split.
I think it was $3 something from memory.
$2.50.
Oh, there's been a couple of scratchings.
Yeah.
Mascarento's out, Patton's out, the stablemate, so you're getting under $3 now.
$2.50. Don't mind it to kickstart the day. 6-4 on the old. Steve, bet of the day, please.
Race 2, Trentham, London Point, out of the Alan Sharrock barn. Lisa Allpress does the riding here. 2 from 2. Loved her last start win, the daughter by pins at Hawke's Bay. Ran a good number. I think she's got a couple of lengths on exposed form v her rivals. Come race 2 over 1400. She's my bet of the day.
Okay, price? Sorry.
$2.80 last time I checked.
$2.80. Okay, so we've got the makers of a decent multi there. If we take those best bets and line them up for the weekend, it's going to be a big day. Look, we were going to do a competition, weren't we? But there's no time. So let's spruik a competition. That we'll do it next week.
There's Emma.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, tlufeedback@gmail.com. Send in your questions and we might be able to hand out some bonus bets. tlufeedback@gmail.com. Send your question to Steve, BP or Paul and pick your selector as well. Either BP, Paul or Steve, and you go with their bet of the day. So get your questions
Just any
through.
questions to do with thoroughbreds.
Try and stick to racing, potentially.
Okay.
Ideally. But we better go. It's that time of the week. Thanks, Pops. Do you get tomorrow off and they call you up Saturday, do they? No, Sunday, rather.
No. We'll go Saturday, Sunday, Thad. So we'll look forward to that. So don't forget about same game multi. David Fafita and Reece Walsh both to score a try.
That's why we love you. Thanks, BP, for your efforts as always. Thank you, Paul. Enjoy your day at Trentham tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do. Looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, no, and thank you, Steve, for all your efforts.
I'll see Paul there, working with Sweens tomorrow on course.
Oh, you're on course?
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Giving the call up.
Big day. It's getting bigger all the time. You and Sweens on course. Thank you for joining us again. We're going to see you in 7 days' time on The Leg Up.